I have been in the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I've been pretty quiet on content and primarily because I have been just heads down doing a variety of really interesting projects inside of Clay. I've gone to the ZoomInfo Go-To-Market event in Boston. I've been talking with a lot of industry insiders and sales leadership and clientele on my side and trying to sort of assess like the state of like where everyone is, what the sort of process from here should be. And for our company, just trying to understand a little bit about like what directionally the market is thinking outside of, the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So the first thing I'll sort of say is that when I went to the ZoomInfo Go-To-Market event in Boston yesterday, one of the things that was really evident looking at the technology that they're deploying, which I would sort of describe as like a table light type of product inside of their, really productive UX, is that they're building a product for the enterprise market. Like the context of that event was so much about like fragmented data, siloed and fragmented information across a number of different departments. And it was interesting because one of the things that I took away from that event, and I've seen personally, like we've worked with very, very large companies, and they tend to be incredibly information and silo and bureaucracy riddled sort of organizations. Like they're very dysfunctional. You'd think that they're like this, amazingly streamlined company, but they're really not. We've had, companies that have 4 different CRM systems that are sort of labeled with different nomenclature that people have some access to some access to others. And it's all ruled by this like IT sort of infrastructure. And so that is a real pain point inside of enterprise sales programs. The thing that I took away from that event is I really do think ZoomInfo understands that issue. They are sort of in these companies already as a data provider. They have sort of that model where it sort of supports a multi-rep, license-based type of function that enterprises are used to. And it is really clear that they are trying to help that demographic of companies move into the age of AI. And a lot of the sort of workflows and plays that they showcase, they're things that you can replicate in other tool sets. But I think one of the things that was really pronounced for me was how that company seems to be just turning into like an enterprise entrenched type of product, very similar to how like we all know Salesforce is not that interesting, but yet everyone uses it. And it's because they're so entrenched and they keep meeting the customer where they are. And I think the takeaway is where the customers are isn't very far down the curve right now. And I would give a lot of credit to, one of the panelists on that event was talking about OneMind. And you could tell that some of these folks are really thinking about what's next and sort of how to reformat the department structure completely. But the reality is most of the interactions that we have in the enterprise space, and that was sort of echoed through a lot of people we were talking to at that event, was that there's so much basic administrative and sort of process flow pickup in those companies that sort of helping them do that is really meeting them where they are now and providing an immediate value to an immediate pain point. But I do think that the inevitable push to sort of reformatting these groups and reformatting the tech stack and so on and so forth is definitely in the, coming down the road. I think the question is just at what speed, considering a lot of these enterprise companies just simply do not need to be best in class from an efficiency standpoint, certainly, in order to be successful in the market. It's like they have so much inertia that some of these companies are just cash machines. So it's really interesting seeing that type of duality where you have these really sort of successful companies that have incredibly dysfunctional, immature, and fragmented sort of sales and marketing workflows. I think that ZoomInfo understands that. And to me, that seems like the best application of that particular platform and technology now, because certainly what I saw yesterday is so much better than what those companies are doing currently. And that company, ZoomInfo, is already in all of these enterprise companies as a data provider. So that made a lot of sense to me. And it was a great, time to learn more about other products out in the market. And I will sort of do another video on what I think that's going to look like as it sort of translates into SMBs. And I'll do that some point tomorrow.